supercarrier enters littoral waters. Venezuela mobilizes up to 200,000 troops. You clicked for one reason. Can asymmetric tools pinch the world's largest warship in a tight sea lane? We'll map the Ford's air wing, its 3-destroyer screen, and the blind spots that appear near shore. Then we test Caracas's low-cost playbook, fast attack craft, shore-based missiles and cyber probes, and ask what actually forces a carrier to reposition. Stay to see how intelligence cutbacks from regional partners change the chessboard, and what that means for the strike group's freedom to maneuver. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. The Ford brings massed air power. Near the coast, that muscle walks a wire. You get speed, reach, and persistent eyes, but every mile closer to land tightens the clock and crowds the screen. The strike group's core is simple. The carrier runs combat air patrol, sub-hunting, and intelligence flights. 3 destroyers stack a shield, long-range missiles out front, close-in guns and decoys inside, and helicopters roving the gaps. In the Caribbean's narrow lanes, that layered dome presses against reefs, islands, and shipping routes. Plenty of steel, less space to think. But then the littorals push back. Radar returns bloom from fishing boats and piers. Shore terrain throws reflections. Sonar turns grainy as warm and cool layers bend sound and mask contacts. You lose turning room. You lose redundancy. Engagement windows shrink from minutes to seconds. Carrier aviation is a rhythm. Launch, recover, refuel, repeat. E-2D early warning orbits stitch the air picture. Tankers trace racetracks to keep jets topped.
Well, how are tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela rising right now?
One way that they're rising, Ike, is that the Venezuelan government is conducting these large-scale militia trainings. They've called up civilians to join the reservists. There are still questions, of course, as I was mentioning, right, about the legality of it and also just the specifics. Where exactly was the boat going? Who exactly was on it? It is important to distinguish, though, is they have designated several cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And so that's some of what they are saying in order to, not further escalate this as an attack.
Helicopters sweep for subs, and drones extend the net. Now lay coastal radars on top of that, plus AIS noise from packed merchant tracks and tight channels that fix the carrier's course during recoveries. The footprint is predictable enough to cue threats if someone is watching. Littoral ASW bites hardest. Quiet diesel electrics and even small mini-subs sip batteries and sit under a thermal layer, hiding in the hiss of port traffic. Small quadcopters and fixed-wing drones, cheap and disposable, can soak sensors and pull fighters off task. It's not Hollywood. It's attrition on attention. In blue water, the defense bubble breathes. Near shore, it becomes a friction zone. Fast attack craft complicate IDs, UAVs ride low and slow, and spoofed commercial tracks seed ghosts that look just real enough to draw firepower away from the true vector. Recent fights have shown how low-cost, sea-skimming profiles and drone swarms nudge high-end ships to reposition rather than eat risk. So what tools in Caracas's kit exploit those same seams without lighting the fuse? The carrier lives by setting range. The shoreline steals that range. First traded near land. Freedom to maneuver. Now test Caracas's playbook, speedboats, shore-based missiles, electronic and cyber probes, and see which one actually moves a supercarrier. Out of fast boats, shore batteries, and cyber probes, only one reliably pushes a carrier back. What would you bet on?
What the U.S. officials are saying is that, no, that actually was on international waters. And so you can see a lot of the discrepancies here, Ike. Those facts matter, and we'll see where it goes from here. But there's no doubt that the tension overall is rising. You know, the Venezuelan government says that happened within its economic exclusion zone. In other words, essentially on its territory on the ocean.
Now, the Trump administration says the people on board were drug traffickers and members of that Tren de Aragua gang, but they haven't provided any further details.
Venezuela's talk of mobilizing up to 200,000 troops is loud, but it's a billboard, not a blade. Troops don't chase carriers. Systems do. The tools that matter throw range, clutter, and timing at the forward's deck cycle when the ship can't afford delay. Each option carries attacks. Fast attack craft can swarm, but they need tight timing, a clean queue, and radio discipline. Coastal anti-ship missiles promise reach from land, but firing points burn their secrecy. Cyber and EW stay quiet, yet effects vary and the feedback loop is slow. You can't steer a supercarrier with noise alone, unless that noise lines up with real steel. Think of swarm boats as hornets. If they mass on the right bearing during recovery ops, they sting. If Aegis sees them early, Hellos with dipping sonar and armed drones start thinning the pack before it bites. The swarm's math flips fast once rotors and sensors work in concert. Coastal missile batteries do something different. They steal seconds. A sea-skimming profile at range squeezes reaction time, forces the group to widen its offset, and can push the carrier to shift tanker tracks and delay launches.
Now, Venezuela is accusing the U.S. Navy of boarding a fishing boat in Venezuelan waters. A statement from the Foreign Ministry says 18 people carrying long-range weapons boarded a tuna fishing boat and occupied it for 8 hours.
Tension is rising in that region as the U.S. bolsters the Caribbean with military. There were 5 F-35 fighter jets that arrived over the weekend.
Now, the official also says the incident happened in international waters and did not last 8 hours. A U.S. official says the crew of the Navy ship received information about the Venezuelan boat carrying drugs, but didn't find any drugs during the search.
A credible cue, even without a launch, changes where the ship stands and how long it lingers. Cyber and EW lay fog over the plot. GPS spoofing nudges NAV solutions. AIS tricks seed ghost traffic lanes. Drone ISR perches overhead and paints targets for someone else. None of that sinks a ship alone, but it makes the wrong contact look right while the real one closes. If regional partners trim intel sharing, the picture thins. Fewer external feeds mean decoys and fishing clutter carry more weight, and spoof tracks tie up interceptors. Stack it. Scatter the picture with EW. Spike the threat with coastal missiles. Probe with fast craft when the deck is busy. The cheapest lever that moves a supercarrier is a believable coastal missile envelope backed by deception and a swarm test. The game now shifts to distance and time, stealing miles and minutes from the forward's freedom to maneuver. The shoreline bends time and space against a carrier. Power stays real, but the clock runs faster, the map shrinks, and every takeoff drags a new risk line across the deck. In this fight, distance is armor and timing is a weapon. So what moves the forward first, missile envelope, EW fog, or swarm? Comment your choice below. If you want uncompromising tactical breakdowns, subscribe now. The next move is about distance, not drama. You know why that matters. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict. We track the range, read the clutter, and learn what actually shifts steel.